Hi, George Markowski, Positive Property. How are you? Now, today we're going to talk about what sort of property you should buy. What sort of property? There's a lot of different types, and you've got units, you've got townhouses, and you've got houses. Let's talk just these categories, even though there's more categories, because I want to keep it simple. Also, there's brand new and second-hand. Now, if you pay tax, old is out of the question if you're using our strategy, because we want to get our tax back. Otherwise, it's going to cost you too much. So we need to get brand new. Why do we need to get brand new? Because of depreciation. On an average house that's around $450,000, you're going to get about $80,000 worth of depreciation over 10 years. That's very powerful because we can use this so we can lower your tax so you can get money back in your pay pack on a weekly basis to help pay for investment. And that's how we get the property to be positive. That's one of the keys, one of the real main pillars. So next thing about a property is scarcity. So there's no point buying property that's not scarce. For example, let's say there's a mining town in the middle of nowhere and you want to buy property there. There's land around, lots of land around it because it's the middle of nowhere. So scarcity is not a problem. Might be scarce right now. However, what's going to happen is going to be an oversupply and your property's going to drop down. So it's very risky. So I don't recommend that. Then, if you go too far out of the city, and there's lots of land around, another problem, not good. Then if you go right in the center of the city, you've got another problem there where there's no scarcity. And you might ask, well, hold a second, how can it not be scarce in the capital city? Well, in the city, because there's a lot of units, what can happen is they can knock down a few places and build another 100 units, suddenly no scarcity. So to be scarce, what needs to happen is you need to make sure that there's not a lot of land around the place. It's in a locked in spot, but also there's a high demand and supply. That's very, very important. And you need to work out that ratio. And if the ratio is good, that's the way to work it. So there's about 16,000 suburbs in Australia. And out of those 16,000 suburbs, there's just under 40 parameters of different things. For example, how many sales were in the month, the median house price has gone up, hasn't gone down, the vacancy rate, the ratio of renters and owners, and there's a lot of stats that I'm not going to go into today, but I will go in depth. Now, we need to know all these stats because when you look at these stats, compare them to other suburbs, what happens is the magic of numbers, you can actually see what property is going to be at 7 o'clock and go up. And remember we spoke about the property clock. If you want to know more, please look at the link to the property clock. So basically, through these numbers and how we work out a 7 o'clock market, and by investing smartly and through numbers and not emotions, that's the way we make growth. So I'll give you an example. Vacancy rates. Now, if you've got more than 3% vacancy in an area, that means that out of 100 houses, 3 places are vacant. Now, if it's 4, 5 or 6%, you don't want to buy there because that means that a lot of people don't, there's not a lot of demand, but there's plenty of supply. What you want to do is a tight vacancy rate. That's one of the keys. So as part of the Property Millionaire Coaching Program, what we do is we teach you how to use this. But what I'd like to do is offer you a free gift and offer you a 22-point due diligence checklist just to get you started and get you in the right frame of mind. So just click on the link below to get that. Thank you, George Markowski, Positive Property. Remember, live life on your terms.